Hello, it's been a while. 2 months, I believe. And that's for the simple reason, well, as a post that I have on my channel shows, my hands were out of commission. Like, they'd been ripped to shreds because I went like sort of flying across one of the pavements down the road. It's well maintained. So I couldn't do any cross stitch, in fact. Again, I'm not sure how this shows up, but I have literally done nothing. Because I was physically unable to do so. So it's just, same as before. One thing I was able to do, though, thankfully, was Loom Knitting. I believe it's Loomahat's channel. But it could be one of the others. I'm sure it's her channel. Thank you, Denise. But she was showing how to make kind of ear warmer headbands. This creamy colour, chunky or super chunky wool is the actual proper full size 6 rows. It's one of the first things I've done. Increase, decrease. And then I decided to use the roving yarn, and I did one that was only 4 rows. So we got, trying to hold it up. It's variegation of that. Sorry, it's awkward to see, but it's that thin. And then using the forest cutaway, I suppose you could call it, Aran yarn. I made one that was 2 thingies, which is just the main pattern and then a single repeat. So this one's harder to see, but there's that. It's basically the same thing, but getting smaller. I also, with the roving yarn, made a kind of headband thing. It's around somewhere. Don't know where. Not fast. So yeah, in terms of, crafty stuff, I'm afraid that's all I managed to do. I did have a good few purchases, some of which Pride stuff, but I'm going to leave that for a separate video that can be under my random vlogs. Ironically, one of the things I actually got for last month, I never ended up wearing. I had my away stuff on. Things like purchases that are a bit more crafty related. We have old Sharpie pens, because I couldn't find where my other one was, and then I found it. But these are what I use for writing on bobbins. So, and I don't know if I've shown these off, I have a feeling not, but just again, I have pencil grips, which is good for, I'm marking off stuff, that have pencils digging into me. Right, for some of the non-crafty stuff things, I got some generic phone charms, as I like to put it. I'll find where the opening is. Remember the star shape, there is actually 2 sets, I believe, but I've only got 1 here. I can't remember if I've shown these off or not. Possibly, but I remember finding them, so I was trying to look through my previous videos and I just couldn't really identify what I had and hadn't shown off. Again, it's been 2 months, so if I've shown anything off, I apologise. I know a good chunk of us I haven't, because I only got it in the last 2 months. But some of these items. And a bit older. Oh, I found the chase picture I kept going on about. Listen here. Since when did Tommy use it in? Anyway. Male protagonist from Let's Go Pikachu. And Eevee. But he's got the Pikachu. His female counterpart has the Eevee. And I've actually used a party very similar to that. I like that. Also, why the heck do they have a victory belt? It's not even in the Pikachu version. I just noticed that. That is pride stuff. Showing them off. I think I've shown them off with the pride stuff anyway. I think that was the phone charms. Sorry, everything's a mess. Although you can't see them, I actually have new hair bubbles in my hair. And I'll have to take these out of here. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, so, you know, 40 odd year ago, because I'm 43. I used to have those elastic hair bubbles where like you thread, like you put them underneath your hair and then one end gets threaded through one side and then the other end gets threaded through the other. And it's supposed to hold your hair in place. I got hearts shaped ones. I got the light pink ones in my hair. These weren't anything to do with pride, it's just because it was for nostalgia. You know, I hadn't worn them types in years, and it's like, do people still sell them? And in this bag, I got like ball-shaped ones, and also different colours. They're all glittery and stuff, so they might not show up too well. So that's them. I've been able to record iOS games, so I could always have that as, you know, the whole gameplay as I'm doing other stuff. And I was able to record it because I have an adapter to plug my phone into my laptop, and I have just a direct phone to HDMI cable as well. So, if I wanted to do iOS gameplay footage, I could record it. These I got this morning. It was gingerbread and bee. I'm not going to show them, unfortunately. It's too lazy. But it was gingerbread and bee hair grips. It's like where I had all the Scottish flag ones. These ones I got gingerbread and Christmas themes on one set, and it's just the other set is smothered in bees because it's like summer theme. Oh yeah, this was hilarious. I bought the original PC version of my favourite puzzle game. Unfortunately, it does not load up on either of my systems. Because it only, like, it's Windows 95 to XP. Sometimes later systems will run past that, but, you know, you gotta put the disk in the drive, and it's like, no. But, got the original PC version of ZooCube. Might not be to play it, but I got it. I got some books behind me. I don't know whether to include them in that blooming random blog. I'm just going to show a couple now. If anyone has ever read the Rainbow Magic series, or has kids, etc. that's read them, when they originally started coming out in 2003, I actually collected a good chunk of them, like from the very first set. And here I have Treasuries, which is basically like a full set of 7 books abridged into one volume. And you got the original Rainbow Fairies. I have paperback and hardback. The reason I did that is because I accidentally ordered them in one format, or some in one format and some in the other, so it's like, you know, balance it out. We have weather fairies. Again, some of this I might have mentioned in other videos, but I don't know. And in hardback only, the set 3, Party Fairies. Unfortunately, it was, as I said, it was hardback only. I also had the sets that came after them, which was, yeah, the 2 sets that came after them. The Jewel Fairies, and I think the other one was the Fun Day Fairies. Because it was the Petal Fairies. If I remember it, was a set I was waiting to come, waiting for it to come out, and none of the shops had them for some reason. Even the big shops, it was kind of weird. They did your own Choose Your Own Adventure style books. Called Choose Your Own Magic. So we have Ruby the Red Fairy from the original set. And we have Katie the Kitten Fairy from the Pet Keeper set. Oh yeah, I also had all them. I think they were between Jewel and the Fun Day set, which is like a fairy for each day of the week. It's kind of classic because the last one, the Sunday Fairy, has my name. And apparently there was this whole thing back in the day where a new set had come out and people, like kids would look up to see if their name was selected for one of the fairies, and if the name wasn't, they were told like about it. Understandable. So that's them. Right. This next item I'm going to show is part of the reason why this video took so long to come out. I was originally going to record it last month, and I just did not have the courage to do so. If anyone remembers, I believe it was 2019, so 6 years ago, I, as part of one of my videos, showed an urn with some of my Nana's ashes in it. Now, the individual I'm talking about, yes, we have their ashes, but they're not in an urn, so I'm not going to bring them through. Sorry. They're in a box, and I ain't going to risk dropping that box. But my stepfather, because myself and that individual absolutely loves teddies. In fact, I have her teddy on my bed. I'm not fishing it up because of all the stuff around me, but I have her teddy on my bed that she's literally had since she was born, or a week or so old. Well, I might try and get in a minute. But my stepfather bought me this in memory of that. And it says, "First you were my mum, then you were my friend, now you are my angel." The reason I took so long to record this video is because my mother passed away on the 11th of June 2025. So, I've just not been in the emotional sort of state to talk about it. In fact, there's over the past month or so, there's been various things happening in the garden because it's summertime, very active, and I've just been that. Nah, I'll see you guys whenever. I'm just not in the mood. Sorry. So yeah, where that pattern I keep showing you with cross stitch that started off as a crochet blanket, which I'm actually sitting on. Yeah, that was designed by her. Hence why it's her name in the copyright. For anyone that's downloaded it or interested. In fact, give me a second. I'm going to see if I can shift this stuff enough to get you her one. Take these off. Excuse me, I've not long had something to drink. So I can sit in a This, you can see this properly. This fine young gentleman, this is Joshua. My mum was born 15th of December 1959, as I said. She had him since about the time she was born. So, this guy is almost 70-year-old, at least. Still going strong. I've helped repair him a couple of times for best, but like Mum restuffed him like a couple of decades ago, and then I tried stitching up bits that fell apart. I'm not good at sewing. Especially teddies. So if there's any teddy makers or whatever out there, I sincerely apologise. It probably looks horrible. Yeah. It's awkward to see, but there's like pears on his arms. Again, I'm not one for making toys. So, yeah, Mum's had him for a good while. All her life. It was actually, when it came to me first using that super thick chunky yarn that I got last year, beginning of this year, I actually made Joshua a blanket of his own. Because it was winter time. Do not judge the colour. But, yeah. For when it's winter, you know, you can either have it that way, or you can have it that way. But yeah. So he now sits on my bed. And if he ever falls off, he gets put back on the bed. Because he's Mum's. And he always sat on her bed. So yeah, in keeping. And again, I'm sitting on the thingy she made. So I think that's it, at least for applicables. Oh no, there's a couple of things I want to quickly mention. When I do next do crafty stuff, I might record it. And there will be gameplay footage with it. And it'll be kind of specific gameplay footage, as in there'll be timers in the corner. Because the developers of the game, so I'll let them know that speedrun.com, which is the main site for like when people speedrun games, that's where they host all the world record times and everything. I let them know, like, I first made a remark for one of their games from 2014 saying, when I just generally play it, I've even showed it, it's the Monument Valley series, but when I tend to play them, especially the first game, I occasionally seemingly speedrun it. This is a better place. It's getting higher and higher. But I seemingly speedrun it. Because one minute I'm doing the first couple of levels, and the next thing I know I'm at the end of the game. And the newest recruit to the team, Connor, was like, you know, we do have a page for it on speedrun.com if you're interested in doing an official speedrun. So I checked the page out and I was like, oh, it'll be nowhere near their times. Maybe for 1 or 2 levels, but no. Like, there was like a bonus little 5-stage chapter from the first game, that Ida's Dream thing, where you're going around to the windmill. And I think 3.5 minutes was my fastest time, and the world record's like just over or under a minute, and that's for all 5 stages. So no. You know, I'm proud of what I got, but I'm not beating any world records or getting close, because a lot of these, like, for the top, who knows what on the table, is literally 1 to 2 minutes. You know, I'd probably be in like teens, if not the 20s, if I was to submit them sort of things. You know, time myself and stuff like that. But I was like looking for some of their other games, and they had these endless runner games called Whale Trail and Whale Trail Junior. Well, the latter, being aimed at 3 to 6 year olds, was more of a reach the goal. You can make an endless runner if you avoid the actual premise of it. Like, standardly, because endless runner, Whale Trail, you're just trying to keep going through the level as long as you can. In the junior version, you're tasked with collecting 5 stars, and then the level ends. But you can turn it into endless runner by just avoiding the stars for as long as possible, you know, until the game effectively forces you to collect them, because you're where you are in the level. Because it's random where the stars are getting put, so you never know if you're going to pick one up. You know, you can try and get out the way to pick one up, and you may or may not get it. I noticed that, like, sort of, that game in particular wasn't on the website. So I turned around to Connor and that, and I was like, you guys didn't know that your Whale Trail, or Junior Whale Trail game, isn't on the site, right? If I managed to work out how to, use the speedrun timers and this, that, and the other thing, and maybe even record again because it's iOS at the time, apart from using the internal recorder, I'd never basically put it over to the computer. As in like playing on the phone, picked up on the computer. So all I got in response from Connor was do it. And then he added, was it make me a challenge or give me a challenge or something? I can't remember what it is. But like it just put do it. So for like part of like the last month I've been trying to work out how to do the speedrun timers, and that's why I got the like sort of cables in the first place, was so I can actually put the footage on my computer, record it with OBS, because apparently speedrunners use that. So I managed to set all that up, and then I managed to sign up on the website, and it's like if you want to submit a game that's not already on it, you have to wait 7 days. For like especially if it's a new, for new accounts and everyone, so I have to wait those 7 days. And during which I recorded my speedruns. Levels are pretty short if you're just playing them generally. In fact, a couple of them I only had over a minute because, as I said, some of the stars are out the way because of how it's randomly generated, so you didn't always manage to pick them up. But most of my runs are like 50 odd seconds. It's that short. But it was like, I managed to record it, managed to submit the game, a couple of days ago, or a few days ago, and then I, uploaded my runs to the website, and because I'm the one that submitted the game, by default, I'm first place. So I just responded to Connor with, done it, and showed him, added pictures of all the world record times. Now I challenge you to beat these times. The thing is, they've recently had the third entry on Monument Valley released on PC and consoles, literally yesterday. So he's like, when all this launch stuff is over, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm taking up your challenge. Good. So, yeah, actually speaking of the third Monument Valley game, obviously I'm going to do a recording of that. I have it on PC, I have it on Switch. Yesterday there was also a Pokemon puzzle game released for Switch and mobile, which I have for Android, a series known as Color Glow. They were made by Russian developers. And it's all the right mix of puzzles of this, that, and the other thing. You have that infamous, people call it flow, where you have to join the color. You have two different, of the same color, it's two different lights, and you got to join them together with the lines and stuff like that. But this Pokemon game called Pokemon Friends, it basically incorporates them sort of puzzles that I've been playing using the Color Glow series, but Pokemon reskin. And it helps you, you collect yarn because you make your own Pokemon plushies. They're in game, but you make your own Pokemon plushies. And you have various characters around town that you can gift them to, and then they'll give you stuff in return, and this, that, and the other thing. So, I only played a wee bit of it this morning. Played the Switch version. Took a while to be able to get the Android version. It only works on one of my devices. That being my new phone I got a couple of weeks ago. It's Android 9 and up. And despite my Fusion 5 tablet being Android 9, this is 15 by the way, the phone is, it is not compatible. It doesn't even show up in the store. In fact, when it came to getting on this, I just typed in Google Play in general, typed in the game, and it lets you know what games I can use it with, or devices, and it only had this highlighted, so it's fair enough. It took about 3-4 attempts to download it. As I said, I got it on Switch. I got Monument Valley on Switch. Little piece of plastic I use for tying up the cable for the headset. So I've got various things downloaded. Yeah, so that's it for now. Sorry to ramble on, but hopefully future videos I will progress with doing stuff crafty wise. I know I kept saying, oh, the next one will probably, or the next couple of videos will probably contain gameplay footage as I do stuff. As I said, well, as you saw, I'm not doing it. But hopefully when my fingers like to work, I can do cross-stitch again. And there will be gameplay footage with it. I'm not sure what, but there will be something. Anyway, it's just after 9 PM here. So I'm gonna have to sign off because my laptop's battery is looking kinda small in terms of what's left. In fact, when I started recording this, I only had about 50%.